What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Critical Overlord here. We're going to be talking about a few different horror topics in this video here today. We'll be talking about Terrifier 4. We'll be talking about the Revenge of La Llorona. We'll be talking about Sigourney Weaver potentially returning as Ripley in the Alien franchise. We'll be talking about Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th. We'll be talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Scream 7 really quick. So starting off here with Terrifier 4, producer Jason Levi talked with iHorror recently about the upcoming fourth entry in this franchise, saying, "I'd say what excites me most is that with each Terrifier film, we go further and further down the rabbit hole. Like Damien has said, I'm really looking forward to audiences getting to see more of Art the Clown's backstory. I think that's something a lot of people are curious about. Are they?" And of course, the kills just keep getting bigger, bolder, and crazier with every movie. I can't wait for fans to see what's coming next. They haven't seen anything yet. Now I'll tell you what I don't want to see. A backstory that turns Art into a second-rate threat while we uplift a new, bigger threat or some sort of puppet master. Leave the aura intact. Let his mystique remain strong. This backstory should be limited because sometimes when you go behind the curtain, you don't always like what's there. Sometimes it's better to leave the genie in the bottle. Like the Black Thorn angle, I'm always going to go to that for an example. Or Cult of Thorn, whatever it was called. Did I really need to know Michael was just a puppet in a cult's plan? No, and it alters how we look at that character when engaging with the Thorn timeline. I'm certain the kills in the film will be on point as always, but the backstory of Art the Clown can ruin this sequel if they aren't careful. I really want to hear from you guys that are Terrifier fans. Do you think that the backstory exploration is going to blow up in their face, or do you trust that they will give us something competent that doesn't really undermine the character of Art the Clown and doesn't ruin his mystique? I want to hear from you all because that's my biggest concern going into Terrifier 4, that they're going to ruin the aura and the mystique of this character. Now let's talk about the Revenge of La Llorona. And yes, you heard me correctly. The Revenge of La Llorona is in production, according to the Hollywood Reporter, who put out a report about this last week. This is a sequel to that awful film from 2019. The story will see the vengeful spirit of La Llorona returning, forcing a fractured family to confront their past and join forces with their grandfather to battle ancient evils before the weeping woman claims their children forever. It says a sequel to New Line's The Curse of La Llorona is finally underway. The cast includes Jay Hernandez, Monica Raymond. We have Raymond Cruz, who's returning, or Cruz. And then we also have Eddie Ganim, Martin Fajardo, Axton Luca Porto, and Avi Porto. I could be mispronouncing those names. But if you are a fan of that film, I'm happy for you, I guess. I personally only go back to see Linda's performance because she's never delivered a performance that I thought was awful. Well, from what I've seen of her anyway. But why should I be excited for a sequel to the film that we were told was a part of the Conjuring universe, and then that same universe put it up for adoption and said, actually, no, we don't want anything to do with that. All while having characters that make it part of the same universe. That was one of the most baffling things creatively that was going on when that film came out. At one point, it was part of the Conjuring universe. Then they turned around and said it's not. But there's characters in it that would make it so. So how can you take that away? On top of that, the story wasn't that good. It was kind of like a jump scare palooza, which you guys know I don't like that, especially when the scares are not earned. But it was like jump scare palooza more than anything else. Some of y'all did catch this was about to film right before Last Rites dropped. I just didn't make a big deal about it because I was like, maybe it's a bad dream. They're not doing this. I knew it was legit, but I just didn't want to talk about it. I'd rather wait for the trace to start talking about it before I talk about this movie because I'm not looking forward to more La Llorona. Are you looking forward to more La Llorona? Because I know some people out there think they did The Legend a disservice. That first movie really was god-awful. I'm sorry. It just was not that good. It had some highlights with the humor. Some of the scares were good. And again, Linda was fantastic. But overall, very forgetful film. A movie I don't want to see any more from, but whatever. Now, let's talk about Sigourney Weaver. Sigourney Weaver has met with Disney about an Alien return. She said this after making an appearance at Comic-Con. She said, Walter Hill is a very good friend of mine, and he wrote 50 pages where Ripley would be now, and they are quite extraordinary. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I have had a meeting with Fox, Disney, or whoever it is now. I said I have never felt the need, but what Walter has written seems so true to me, as very much about the society that would incarcerate someone who has tried to help mankind. She's a problem to them, so she's sort of tucked away. Anyway, I think it's a very strong first 50 pages, and I'm thinking about working with Walter to see what the rest of the story would be. All I will say to that is this. Leave well enough alone. Not every character needs the Laurie Strode treatment. Not every character needs the Laurie Strode treatment. There is going to be videos in the near future, decades from now, if YouTube is still a thing maybe, where they look back on the requel trend and you can trace it back to Laurie Strode and Jamie Lee Curtis and Halloween 2018 and how that set up one of the most tiresome trends right now in horror. Do we need to see all of these final girls and final boys come back and get these last hurrahs? No. But of course, because it was profitable for Blumhouse, everybody wants to say, oh, well, let's go back into our closet and see what we can do. We can do Sidney Prescott again. You know, we can do Andy Barkley with Chucky. We can do all these different things. And it's like, no, what happened with Laurie Strode is very unique because of the fact that she was unceremoniously ejected from the franchise in Halloween Resurrection. Very unique. Still, you don't need to even go back and redo that. But they did it. And just because they did it with Laurie doesn't mean you need to now do it with Ripley. If you can concoct something that erases what happened in Alien 3, which I don't think was the worst thing ever, but it definitely is a disservice to the character of Ripley and what she had gone through in those first two films. If you concoct something that makes me forget about that, sure, I'm open to it, but it's not necessary. Like I stated, sometimes you need to just accept that you messed up with these characters and just let history speak for itself. Let that be an example of what not to do going forward. Some people love Alien 3. I'm not one of those people, but I'm not really up for seeing Sigourney Weaver back as Ripley. I'm sure she'd give a phenomenal performance. She's one of the best talents out there, one of the best actresses in history of Hollywood. But do we really need to see more Ripley? And if we do get more Ripley, what would you even want to do? Now let's talk about Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th. Jason Blum revealed that Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street are two IPs he'd kill to make. He revealed this during that Variety interview that happened last week. He said, Friday the 13th and Freddy Krueger, those are my two white whales we're always haggling. I make a run at them every day. I will never give up the quest, and if they make one without me, I'll chase the next movie. Again, these comments came from that Variety interview, but I will say this about Nightmare on Elm Street. Given the direction the Black Phone is taking, Nightmare on Elm Street isn't something Blumhouse needs to me. It's another example of them having their hands in too many cookie jars and wanting to keep opening all these other jars and putting their hands in them. It's like, no, the buffet is closed for you. Let someone else eat. Get up and leave. You don't need Nightmare on Elm Street. You have Nightmare on Elm Street at home now because of the direction you've decided to take the Black Phone 2 in. You already have Freddy Krueger. You have your own Freddy Krueger. Now, as for Jason, he can be produced by anyone at this point, and if you find a good enough writer and director, people who are dying to see more Jason on the big screen, anything that's not associated with this Jason universe garbage, they're going to eat it up. If you give them a competent director and a competent writer, all the negativity surrounding the fact that Blumhouse just has their hand on another popular IP and is going to remake it or reboot it again, that's going to go out the window. People won't really be focusing on that if you can just give them somebody who they would love to see bring Jason Voorhees back. So, out of the two, I would love to see, I'm not going to say I would love, out of the two, I'd prefer you guys get your hands on Friday the 13th. You already have Nightmare on Elm Street at home with the grabber. Now, let's talk about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Aria Servitis, if I'm pronouncing that name correctly, will be starring as the Slayer in New Sunnydale. Fans over on Reddit noticed this IMDb listing, and I'm here to say that, yes, that character is real, and Aria, I guess, is likely going to be playing her. I don't know if she's actually playing that character because IMDb isn't always correct. I will say I know it's correct about the character, but if Aria is actually starring in the role, I don't know that. But the character is real. So, she's supposed to be playing a Slayer, according to IMDb. But I will say this. Don't expect her Slayer to be on the same level of Buffy, Nova's, Faith's, or anything like that. Any of the potentials, nothing like that. Kendra, nothing like them. The word in front of her listing on IMDb means that she's playing a fake Slayer, a cosplayer, a fraud, if you will. In fact, from what I know, this character isn't very significant to the overall story, but she does have a great moment with our villain of the week, which we know is going to be played by the lovely Chase Wonders. But it's been pretty quiet on that front when it comes to New Sunnydale and whether or not they even got a series order. Sarah Michelle Gellar, I think, is out at Comic-Con this weekend, so maybe we get a comment or two from her out there. But yeah, my prediction still remains to be that Hulu will announce a series order March of next year and reveal that the series is about to start filming, along with who else is going to be starring in the cast, who else has joined the project as writers, and we'll get a premiere in 2027 to celebrate 30 years of Buffy. That's just what I see them doing. Now let's conclude this video by talking about Scream 7. Kevin Williamson posted this on Instagram. Now he just stated the obvious about the film coming soon, but this got a lot of people talking. Nothing too crazy, but the social media posts have been on fire this past week, so maybe this is something to look into. I myself just think it's him doubling down on what we already know to be true. The film is coming soon. Some people think that this means that the trailer is coming soon. If a trailer is going to be coming soon, it is probably going to be happening, I will predict right now, if not with the Black Phone, because that's not a Paramount film, that's Universal. If not this upcoming week with the Black Phone, it'll likely drop during the week of Scream being re-released in theaters. Just why not do it that week? Why not do it that week? And if not that week, then it'll come out when that next movie drops. Paramount just had a film drop and there was no Scream 7 trailer attached to that. So I would like to think it's going to be attached to the next one, which is in November, which aligns with what Viewer Non was stating. Viewer Non also never stated that was concrete. Just, I think they were predicting that going off of the trends that have been happening with the earlier release trailers from Scream 5 and Scream 6. But if you guys think that this post means anything from Kevin Williamson, let me know why or not down in the comment section below. If you haven't already, of course, make sure you go ahead and subscribe, turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. In the description, I have links to all of my social media accounts. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can message me there, of course, to let me know if there are any movies, news, or reviews you'd like me to cover in the future. And with all that in mind, guys, I will see you in the next video.